It's Fernando Ruiz Art.
Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. And you are looking at a sketch that I recently made of the Man of Steel himself, Superman. Probably my favorite of all comic book characters, and maybe my favorite fictional character of all time. I've been a big fan of Superman since I was a kid. I grew up with the 1978 Christopher Reeve movie, and of course, which was in reruns when I was growing up in the 70s, the George Reeves 1950s Superman Adventures of Superman TV show. And growing up in the 70s too, I had the Super Friends cartoon was on Saturday mornings, and the Filmation Superman cartoons from the late 60s, they were often rerun in my area, as was the cartoons of Superboy, who was actually my gateway character to Superman, probably because he had a flying dog. Anyway, today we're going to have a very specific video, and I hope if nobody else is interested, at least the Superman fans out there will be. Recently, I did an online kids Saturday morning class for the Kubert School. And if you haven't seen this on social media, for the month of April, the Kubert School, the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Art, Inc., on their Facebook page, they are offering free Saturday morning kids classes. All you have to do is go online and go to their Facebook page, maybe their web page on at Joe Kubert at kubertschool.edu, and just click on Saturday mornings. Every Saturday mornings from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And each Saturday, the class is being taught by a different instructor who will teach the kids how to draw a different character. So my character was Superman. I taught the first one on the first week of April. And while I was drawing my Superman, something that a lot of people seem to really respond to was when I took a few minutes to show how I draw the Superman S, the S shield on Superman's chest, which is a very specific S. And over the years, I've seen some people wrestle with it. So I thought this would be a good topic for a video. This may not be a super long video, but I think for us Superman fans out there, it's an important video nonetheless. And who knows, the way I get going when I talk about Superman, this may actually be my longest video ever. Okay, so I've drawn the Man of Steel here, and I've drawn him in pencil. Tried to keep a little flavor of the Christopher Reeve Superman that I grew up with. In recent years, the artist Gary Frank was drawing a dead-on Christopher Reeve likeness for the Superman comics. I thought that was a little creepy. It was a little too on the nose, but I like to retain some flavor of Christopher Reeve, and I hope I did that. Okay, so all I've got is the head, neck, and a little bit of the shoulders. So the chest is wide open. And the first thing I'm going to do is start out with that diamond. Now I know in the mid to late 80s, once John Byrne rebooted Superman for DC Comics, he really blew up the size of the S shield. It almost took up the entirety of the torso. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest. I like a more modest S shield. The bigger S tends to make Superman look kind of squatty. it tends to make his whole torso just seem shorter, smaller. The smaller S elongates the torso. It gives him some abs to show off. Now, sometimes if I'm drawing Superman particularly muscular, I may actually add a couple of curves to the top of the S of the shield just to show that, his pecs are bulging. Okay, now with Superman, the thing to remember, the absolute secret of drawing the S, don't really draw the S, but draw the negative space around the S. And I know this is going to require a little bit of knowledge of the S and maybe a little practice of the S. But notice I'm not drawing a big S in the middle of this shield. I'm drawing the yellow spaces, the S being red, and I'm going to draw the yellow spaces around the S. And this is a technique, I believe John Byrne, who I mentioned rebooted Superman in the 80s, I believe when he used to talk about drawing the S, he described it as drawing two fish. So the space around the S resembles kind of two fish swimming around each other. And I know my specific S, I know it's been modified ever so slightly by the artists who've been drawing Superman in the last 20 years or so. But my S is mostly informed by the Silver Age Superman, Silver to Bronze Age Superman, which I guess covers the late 50s, 60s, into the 70s, maybe the early 80s. Is considered Bronze Age. And it was the legendary Curt Swan who was drawing Superman around that time. And he drew a fairly modest S, really centered on Superman's chest. It didn't really, it wasn't too big or too small. But if you see, so what I've done is I've drawn this space. This is what would be yellow if this were colored, okay? And this is what I concentrated on. And that leaves me with the S, see? So just stick to the yellow parts, and I know if you're not used to the shape of those yellow parts, it may take some observation. And again, I'm drawing a specific S from a specific, albeit a long spanning time period. If there is an S you prefer, if you prefer the more modern S, if you prefer, say, the Golden Age Superman of Earth 2 S, just sit down and practice that one. But I'm sure when you go to draw it, what you're going to be doing is the negative space. Because it's not just the S that you're drawing. The S shield retains this red trim all around the S shield that the S kind of fuses into. So it's wide open. The trim doesn't totally go all the way around and block off the S. The S kind of melds into that trim. So there it is. There is the Super S. That is my technique for drawing Superman. That is, let's raise this up so we can see this a little better. That is my Man of Steel. I hope, again, I know this is an ultra specific topic, but I really hope some of you Superman fans out there enjoyed this and got something out of it. I hope you Superman artists out there hope maybe this may have given you a new trick to try, maybe a little something to improve your own Superman with. So thank you for watching. One other thing I'd like to alert you to, since we got a couple minutes, this is the final 4 days for the Kitty Die Starstruck Kickstarter. So my Die Kitty Die co-creator Dan Parent and I, we have lots of original art up. We are available for commissions. We have sketch cards. We have comic book pages, some comic book covers. Please check out our campaign. Please support us. Please pledge to the campaign. Look at what we're offering and treat yourself to something. If you're interested in a commission, now's a great time. Well, a lot of us are still stuck inside and not leaving the house. So now is a great time to get a lot of that art you've always wanted taken care of. So please check out the campaign. I'm going to link to it in the description below. And if you're following me on Instagram and Facebook, which I also link to below, yeah, I'm sure you've seen my posts, and you'll probably be seeing them all weekend long. So please give us your support, because really, we really can't do the project without you. So please help us out. It's very much appreciated. The other thing I'll bug you for is, please, if you enjoyed this video, please click like below. Feel free to share with all of your super friends. And that's it, everybody. Thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, and subscribe. And keep drawing, everybody. Keep drawing. Remember, as Pa Kent said, you are here for a reason. And I don't know what that reason is, but it's not to kick field goals. Bye-bye, everybody.